What is up, guys? Welcome to week 2 of this 6-week challenge. Congratulations on week 1. Done. Big tick. Sometimes starting is the hardest thing. But what I will say is harder is continuing. When motivation kind of drops, when things don't seem as fresh, that is when you really need to kick your own ass instead of just jump into something else, right? We need to zone in and really double down. Today, I'm going to teach you something that I think is really underrated and, what's the word? Not common knowledge enough. Like everything, pretty much, that I'm going to teach you across the next 6 weeks. That the things that really matter that most fitness coaching programs or meal plans or workout plans don't consider. And that's why you're stuck. This in particular is something that women in midlife struggle with. And we can go through and we'll talk about it. Today we're going to talk about gut, bloat, and brain fog. I've got to be very careful because I often say butt and gloat. So I need to be really careful here. But essentially, actually, I'm going to start with a story. A few years ago, during COVID, I had COVID, and then I had long COVID. Long COVID stopped me from working. I had to take a long time off, 9 months I had to take off work. I had severe brain fog, very, very low energy. I had migraines all the time. I had heart palpitations. It was horrible. Not as bad as some people get it, but for me, it was a complete life shift. I don't know if you've gone through something like this, like a life shift, something happened in life. Maybe it was a divorce. Maybe it was a health issue. Maybe it was menopause. Maybe it was empty nesting. But all of a sudden, your life shifted, right? I was the person that was up at the gym by 5. I was the person who was on everything. Like I knew exactly what projects were going on where I was working. I knew where I was involved. I knew the teams I was leading. But for some reason, when this hit me, that identity just disappeared. I didn't have the energy to get up and go to the gym. I just wanted to sleep all the time. I didn't have the cognitive clarity, I had brain fog, to be answering questions left, right, and center. I didn't have and I guess it was the confidence that came from that knock of loss of identity. So I really lost a lot of confidence during that time from who I was. And I kind of had to relearn who I am now. So during that time, like I said, I had brain fog, right? So one day, Cam and I were out, and I said to him, the thing's coming later. And he was like, what thing? And I was like, the thing. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, it's so frustrating when you know exactly what the word is. And I was like, the thing that comes in the box in the door, the square in the door. He's like, the window. I'm like, no, the square where the papers go in. He's like, letterbox. I was like, yes, the letters are coming later. Or the parcel I was talking about. Parcel's coming later. But, oh, God, the frustration that I had in that moment. And now imagine that throughout your daily life. Day in, day out. Brain fog. Maybe you're putting on your clothes and you feel bloated. You're like, I'm just eating what I used to eat. And now I've got this hard, round belly I just can't get rid of no matter what I do. You get GI issues. Maybe you're constipated all the time. Or the other end, you got diarrhea. You're having heartburn. Any of these kind of issues that you're having, we're going to cover them today. So have you ever followed the perfect diet plan? But you still, no matter, even though you followed it to a T, you're really strict this time. You cut out everything you weren't supposed to have. But you still feel bloated, you still feel tired, and you still feel like your body is fighting you. Here's the truth. If your gut is not happy, your body, it won't change. And today I'm going to show you exactly why that is. So your gut is more than your stomach. When people think of gut, they think of intestines and stomach, right? Like guts and gore. But when we talk about gut health, it's way more than what you eat. It's how your body digests food. And we've already spoken about the thermic effect of food. So good gut health will help with thermic effect of food. how your body absorbs nutrients, and how it communicates. So with the absorption of nutrients, if you have got bad gut health, even though you're eating the right things, your body is not extracting the things that it needs to. So you're not absorbing those nutrients, so you're not going to have any energy. And then how it communicates. So how your body communicates. We're going to talk about that in a sec. So your gut has got trillions of bacteria in it. And when that ecosystem, which we'll talk about shortly, when that's off, the whole of your body system will feel off. So the gut is like an untapped hack for health, for body composition, for bloating, for even hormones. Super important. Okay, so the gut is often called the second brain. I often say butt and grain here too. So the gut is often referred to as the second brain. There is suggestions that when we're conceived, the brain and the gut are like connected, and then they grow further and further apart as we kind of grow into a baby. So, but they talk to each other all of the time. The gut has got its own nervous system. So we've got a few nervous systems, but the gut has got its own one. It's a massive powerhouse that, again, we do not concentrate on. I think partly because we can't see it. We do experience the symptoms, but we can't see it. But basically, the nervous system and the gut is like a whole control center in your belly. So we often think about the brain, but actually the gut is just as important. So your gut can think, feel, and send messages on its own. And actually it sends more information to your brain than the brain sends to the gut. The gut is constantly sending information upwards. And this isn't just, we need to do this, right? It's, there's a problem. Send out the immune system, like let's start throwing out the immune system. Let's start fighting wherever it is. There's a problem. Let's increase inflammation. So the gut is telling the brain what to do a lot of the time. But we don't think of it that way. It's I say very new. It's a newish area of research in comparison to everything else, right? So the other important thing about the gut is that's where your serotonin is made. So serotonin is the chemical that helps regulate sleep, regulate mood, and regulate appetite. So if you have mood swings, if you don't sleep well, or you can't get sleep, or you think you're maybe you've got temporary insomnia, or you're always hungry, or you're never hungry, that could be a sign that your gut health is off. So if your gut is out of sync, the mind feels it, you're not as clear, your mood is low, your cravings feel it, because now you just want sugar because you haven't got any energy, so you need more and more and more. And also emotional eating, that's what you're going to do. And then your energy definitely feels it. Again, we've spoken about the nutrients. The gut and the brain are connected through something called the vagus nerve. So it starts in the brain, and then it goes down your system. It hits your gut, lungs, heart, brain, immune system. It's lots of the organs as it goes down. So this means that if your gut health is off, it's sending information all the way up your body, not just to your brain. It's actually touching on your lungs, touching on your heart health, your immune system, your brain. It's touching all of these organs, which then can cause problems. So you've probably had a gut feeling before. This is a question I get a lot. Is gut feeling a real thing? It is not just a saying. It is biology. So the gut and the brain are obviously connected by the vagus nerve, which we just discussed. And that is how the brain speaks to the gut and the gut speaks to the brain, right? That is how the messages are sent through this vagus nerve. So when you're anxious and your stomach drops, you get that, oh God, no, please don't let this happen. That anxious feeling, or, well, that is why you're right. Sorry, let me just clarify that. The anxiousness is why your stomach feels like it drops. Or maybe like when you're stressed, you feel like you can't eat anything, or you eat everything, right? You kind of one way or the other normally. So the gut is constantly scanning for safety and sending updates to your brain. So if your gut thinks something's off, whether that is a food that you've eaten, whether that is a vibe in work, maybe it is something to do with your partner, it could be right. And that's because it's telling your brain, or you're telling your brain, like, something feels off. We need a warning. We need to like reclaim something here. So that's the gut instinct. So if your gut's inflamed, if it's stressed, or if it's struggling, your brain feels it as well. So there's this real solid connection between the two. In fact, if your gut is inflamed, it causes inflammation in the brain, which lowers mood. That's why a lot of depression and anxiety comes from gut, actually, rather than brain. So the vagus nerve is where intuition, mood, digestion, and mental clarity all come together. So if you've got any of those issues, like, we need to work on gut health, vagal toning. I don't think we're going to go into vagal toning in these videos, but that is something that we work with our clients on, and it is something that we've run in a previous challenge as well. The vagus nerve, again, touches on all these things, but it regulates heart rate, breathing, digestion, inflammation, and mood, so how calm you feel. The vagus nerve is typically related to stress as well, so cortisol levels. So if your gut is off, it's not just the belly that suffers, it is the whole system. Your whole health gets whacked out of alignment, but you're still working out harder, you're still eating less, you're still cutting out the favorite foods, you're still cutting carbs, which is the opposite of things that you should be doing when you are in a stressed state. And that is the vagus nerve being off. So what is gut microbiome? Gut microbiome is like, think of it as a garden, right? Like a little ecosystem of its own. We've got good bugs, we've got flowers, and then we've got bad bugs, and we've got weeds. If you don't look after the garden, the flowers and the good bugs start to die off, and the weeds and the bad bugs start to take over. So we need to make sure that we're not feeding the garden with the wrong fertilizer, or no fertilizer, right? We're just throwing cement in there and going, why isn't it growing? We need to think about this as they're little creatures, essentially, little bugs, and literally they are little organisms. So we need to feed them and we need to look after them because they are in control of us. Like, we're not in control of them. They are in control of us. So we need to make sure that we're feeding them good things. And so if we do that, we're going to be in a much better place. Things like stress, antibiotics, low fiber, they are the things that are going to take over the garden in a negative way. And we'll talk about the gut killers shortly. So when we're talking about the gut microbiome in this video, that's what we're focusing on. But actually, our whole body has got trillions of these microbiomes. We've got them on your skin, you've got them in your mouth, lungs, and even your vagina. Excuse me, which is why when we go through perimenopause and menopause, we can be prone to more UTIs. Our digestion can go off a little bit as well. This kind of comes from the vagina and the way it speaks to the stomach, the gut, stomach. And it is also why we have things like vaginal dryness as well. So all of these things come from these little organisms that is microbiome. But again, today we're just focusing on the gut microbiome. So you might be saying to me, well, Faye, how do I know if my garden is flourishing or if it's just full of dead weeds? I'm going to tell you some of the symptoms. So maybe you've got daily bloating, brain fog, constipation, diarrhea, anxiety or depression, cravings, skin breakouts, low energy, waking up tired even after 8 hours of sleep. You're like, oh God, I had such a good night's sleep last night. I didn't wake up for pee in the middle of the night. I'm still exhausted. Maybe I have mood swings for no reason, but you think it is just age. It's just the menopause. No, it's not just the menopause. Like, we can fix some of these things. Let's not write it off as if this is me for the rest of my life. We can fix so many of these things. You're just looking in the wrong place. Struggling to focus or be productive. Always hungry or never hungry, like I mentioned. Feeling puffy or inflamed, especially in the face, hands, or belly. They're the key issue areas. So this isn't just about digestion. The gut affects how you think, how you feel, how you sleep, and even how productive you are at work or in life. So if you've ever felt like you wake up tired, maybe you snap at people for no reason, even though your partner was being really annoying, you overreacted. Maybe feel foggy at work, can't stop reaching for the snacks, you have that 3 p.m. crash, you just need caffeine all the time. Caffeine and carbs, that's what you run off. It could be that your gut is behind this. So when your gut is struggling, your whole nervous system struggles. That means your energy struggles, your focus struggles. And because of all these things, because of the way that you feel, the things that you're doing, the things that you're avoiding, your confidence struggles, becomes non-existent. So you've lost your identity and now you've got no confidence. You're thinking, I used to be so happy. I used to be able to do these things. I used to love doing whatever it is, seeing friends, going out with my partner. I used to love doing these things. Now I'd rather just curl up in bed. I've got no energy for it. I'm stressed all the time. I'm tired. I'm bloated. I feel like shit. I look like shit. I've got nothing to wear. And I already shouted at my partner 3 times today. All right. All of this could be coming from your gut, but we don't look at it. This is one of the problems. So the top gut killers, if you're always rushing, if you're under eating vegetables, if you're living off caffeine, especially around that 3 o'clock mark, your gut bacteria cannot thrive. You're throwing cement into that garden. It's not working. And many people say, oh, but it's just age. That it's genetics. This is how all my family is. They are just background music. They do affect it to an extent, but your lifestyle has the strongest hand. Your lifestyle is what affects around 80% of this. 80% of your symptoms through menopause is related to lifestyle, not genetics. I know I'm touching on menopause there, but anything like that, or mood, things like that, we often think, oh, it's just genetic, it's how my mother was, how my sister is. Obesity is another one. Oh, well, all of my family are obese. That is lifestyle and environment. Yes, you might have a predisposition to be obese or have a quote unquote bad menopause, wherever the thing is, but your lifestyle can change around 80% of that. So we need to stop relying on excuses like that. So I don't know if my head's in the way because this video is in the wrong place, but ultra processed foods, these are the foods that you grab and go. Normally in packets, normally you could not make them at home. They're just full of artificial stuff. Like normal bread you could make at home, like sourdough you can make at home. But when it's like this weird and wonderful bread with extra sugars and extra preservatives and ultra processed. The way that I think about it is if you can't kill it in nature, if you can't pick it in nature, grow it, it is processed. And we need to limit those as much as possible. Low fiber, so not eating fruit, veg, nuts, seeds, herbs, spices, plants in general, that will kill your gut. And alcohol, I know, right? Like you can have one or two, but every time you drink it, especially when you over consume it, maybe you go for a night out every week or once every 2 weeks or whatever, you are killing that gut microbiome. It's not ideal. Chronic stress, which I know a lot of us suffer with, overuse of antibiotics. This is why, part of the reason why doctors and pharmacies don't really want you to be using antibiotics, especially when it won't affect you, right? Like some people have got a cold and they're like, oh, I need an antibiotic. It's like, no, that's not what you need. We don't need to get into that, into the use of it, but basically antibiotics, especially if you've overused them in the past, it wipes. It doesn't pick like, oh, I'll just choose the bad bacteria to kill. It kills all of your bacteria. And that is not good. The gut then is desolate. It's got no good bacteria to help you do anything. If we eat too fast, when you're at your desk and you're like, Quick. That is a gut killer. Can't absorb those nutrients. Age-related changes in gut diversity. As we age, our gut, the bacteria, the different types of bacteria, die off. So we need to make sure that we're adding in more and that we are feeding them. We'll talk about how to fix that in a moment. And generic predisposition, we've already spoken about. So they are the top gut killers. We need to make sure that we're avoiding these as much as possible. I'm not saying never have alcohol. I'm not saying never have ultra processed foods, because God knows I love chocolate, right? And I'm never going to cut that out. Chronic stress, something that often we struggle with. These kinds of things we need to manage. I'm not saying cut them out. It's impossible to cut out stress. We need to manage it much, much better though. Okay, so the best healers, fiber. The research shows around 30 different plants across the week. Nuts, seeds, herbs, spices, fruit, veg, legumes. Anything else? Those kinds of things anyway. If it grows, it's probably got fiber in it. So make sure you're eating a diverse amount of fiber. Probiotics. These are things like kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, anything that's fermented. Eating slowly, taking our time, chew. Don't just like Candace inhale it, right? We need to chew to break it up so that then our body has an easier job breaking up and absorbing the nutrients from it. Walking, especially after meals, is so underrated, and especially outdoors. Walking outdoors has actually been proven to increase or improve gut health and mood. So that's a good thing to do. And after meals, if you go for a walk, it helps with the digestion of your food as well. And stress recovery as much as possible. Try and de-stress, whether that is box breathing, whether that is journaling, whether that's going for a walk, digital free, digital detoxing, those kinds of things. And eating good foods as well. That is going to reduce your stress and inflammation as well. So you don't need like a full proper detox. You don't need, I can't eat, wherever. You just need to stay consistent with these basic things. If you did these alone and didn't do anything else, you didn't need to calorie count, you didn't need to, strength training is important as well. There she is, movement, strength training as well. But if you didn't cut out anything and you just worked on these 5 or 6 things, you would be much healthier. You'd look much better. You'd be proud of yourself and you'd feel way different than you do now. It is doable. These small shifts create the gut that will support your energy, confidence, and body composition, so the fat loss. So you need to be really careful with what you are doing with your life, right? I'm not saying you can't go out and drink. I'm not saying you have to walk every single day outside in nature and absorb it and, grounding, walk barefoot. I'm not saying you have to yoga every day. I'm saying to you, you need to find what works for you. You need to consistently do it, even when you don't feel like. I don't feel like sometimes going for a walk, but I still do. I don't feel like eating vegetables most of the time, but I do. Right? So we need to do these things. Which brings me along to your gut reset plan for the week. This is what I need you to do. Add 2 probiotic foods. Again, a probiotic is a fermented food. Kimchi, yogurt, sauerkraut, kombucha, pickles, even pickles work as well. Everything's fermented, not beer. Not beer. Probiotics actually contain microbiome. They're the organisms. So you can actually consume these organisms and they go into your gut. And if you're consistent with taking them, they can, colonize to your gut, right? We need to keep topping it up with a good bacteria. Focus on fiber. So one of those 30 plants I spoke about, right? We need to be adding those in, a variety of them as much as possible. So I want you to add in 1 new plant this week. It could be last week you had carrots and broccoli, and this week you're going to add in peas. That's fine. If you're going to add in fruit, fine. Like add in something different though, because the variety is what works best. So basically, these are called prebiotics. You have the prebiotics, that's like the plants, and they feed the probiotics, which are the bacteria. So if we want the bacteria to thrive, because there's all different lots of bacteria, different types. We need different types of food to feed the different types of bacteria. Hope that makes sense. Slow down 1 meal per day. I'm not saying you have to sit at your table for 3 square meals and chew for every single one of them. I know it's not possible sometimes, right? Sometimes we're in a rush. We need to quickly leave. We'd run out the house with our bag and like shoveling some, I don't know, some bread, some toast down our mouth. Like, I know, right? I'm not saying you have to chew and sit mindfully, but 1 meal a day, even if it's a very, very small meal, snack even, sit down, no distractions, put your phone away. I don't need to be scrolling at the same time. I don't need to be watching this at the same time. Not listen to a podcast. Just sit and chew. Put your cutlery, if you're using cutlery, down in between mouthfuls. Chew it until it's like an applesauce kind of consistency, and then swallow it once a day. I want you to walk after 1 meal. Again, it could be snack, could be lunch. Lunch is a good one because it helps with your circadian rhythm, which we'll talk about another time. And deep breathing before meals. Just a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just do that 2 or 3 times. Then eat mindfully and slowly. And then you go for your walk. That's like the perfect setup. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you've got any questions. I also want you to post, because that didn't save, post this in the Busy Women's Weight Loss group, the one thing that you learnt from this presentation. And don't forget to tag me in a picture or a post. This week, what I want you to do is take a picture of you doing one of these things, right? So it could be that you're having yogurt. So you take a picture of the yogurt, upload it to your stories or your Instagram or your Facebook, whatever, tag me in it. I want to see them. If you have got maybe a meal with lots of fibre in, take a picture. I want to see it, tag me in it. Go for a walk. You don't have to do a picture yourself, right? Like if you're not that way inclined, take a picture of wherever you're walking. Tag me in it. I want to see these. I want to see them bombarded on my notifications. Okay, I hope that is helpful. Let me know if you've got any questions at all. This is such an in-depth topic. We could talk about this for every day for 6 weeks, but that's a kind of like a top level overview for you. And I hope you've enjoyed and have a fantastic week.